I would like to say good afternoon and welcome to the North San Diego County Association of Realtors webinar. Today's webinar is on solar inspections, something that is often overlooked. Make sure you are protecting all parties in your real estate transaction, the buyer, seller, and yourself. To view upcoming webinars, please visit nsdcar.com/webinars. And to view previous recordings, please visit nsdcartv.com. Now the presenters for today's webinar, Adam Peck and Bill Horan. Welcome.
Thanks a lot, Jennifer.
You're welcome.
Like she said, I'm Adam Peck.
And I'm Bill Horn, and we are the co-founders of the Solar Detective. And we specialize in residential solar inspections. This is a new part of the real estate transaction as solar becomes more prevalent in the community. We've started a niche product here, and we'd like to thank you guys for sharing your time with us today. And we will have a Q&A period after the presentation. So you can submit your questions via chat as we're going through this, as your questions come up, and we'll address them at the end. And during the presentation, we're going to have a couple of questions. And if you want, you can respond to those in the chat area. And then additionally, if you find that your video feed is interfering with our screens, you can use the minimize button on that, pull it off to the side, or shrink it down completely.
So first thing we wanted to let everyone know about is, did you know that San Diego is the #1 per capita in the mainland US for solar installations? 10% of the homes on the MLS today have solar on them. So it's pretty critical, making sure that these solar systems are inspected. Home inspectors, as you know, they look at appliances like the dishwasher, the garbage disposal, and all the other critical systems, but they don't look at that $20,000 to $55,000 solar system that's up on the roof. We like to call it the 800-pound gorilla on the roof. It's that big guy up there that's sort of not really being paid attention to, and really needs to, people need to pay a little more attention to it. And where is CAR on this? Well, the solar PV system condition isn't addressed in the buyer's inspection advisory. It's not in the TDS, it's not in the SPQ. And if you use the buyer's inspection election, you won't find it there either. The question is, how are you protecting your clients and your business? Are you recommending that the solar get inspected? Because we're finding that a lot of agents aren't doing that. The key here is to get it scheduled when you put it in escrow, just like you do the home inspection. Some people are actually waiting for a home inspector to recommend that it get inspected, but all home inspectors that we know are actually recommending that solar be inspected, and they don't do it typically. So there's really no reason not to get a solar system inspected. You're getting the appliances inspected, the electrical system, the HVAC. Those are all, many of those are obviously a lot less in cost than a $20,000 to $50,000 solar system. And the potential for a disaster when a solar system goes wrong or is installed poorly, it's not a good thing. And so time is of the essence. You really need to get these orders in right when you get it into escrow. A lot of agents say, well, it's got a warranty, and I've heard that time and again, and that's great, but the warranties don't measure the health or the function of the product or the system or the installation. And you need to find out if there's an issue and then call the installer or whoever it is that has the warranty so they can come out and make the repairs. Also, the authority having jurisdiction they do a code inspection when the system is installed, but they don't do a function or quality inspection, which means no matter how old these systems are, they still need to be inspected to see and make sure that the function is correct, and that it's a quality installation, something your buyer is going to want to know. In 2019, 67% of the homes that we inspected did not have a warranty. Most of the time, that was because the home installer was out of business.
So, of course, the number one concern when you're dealing with a high voltage system in a house is going to be fires. And here's a couple examples of arrays that are either on fire or have burned. The system fires are actually on the rise, and it kind of makes sense. It's logical as the systems age. Things do wear out. And the other issue is that some of these states are embracing solar, and they really are pushing the volume of installations. They want to hit numbers. And California had a goal of 1 million rooftops with solar, and that was established when Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor. And so in the race to get 1 million arrays installed on rooftops, they loosened up some of the barriers to installing, and with that rush came quite a few installation companies that appeared and then disappeared. And so, as Adam was saying, 67% of the systems that we inspected in 2019 were out of warranty. And a majority of that was due to the solar installers being out of business. And when you have a rush like that, and you have all these guys going out of business, what we know from the industry is you have a lot of fly-by-nights that show up, and they door knock, and they try and get as much business as possible, and they slap the systems on. And they know that the inspector is just looking for the code violations. They're not looking for function or quality of installation. And so we're starting to see a rise in the number of systems that have caught fire. And the important thing to note there is that hasn't really been tracked. Even currently, it's not. They don't have a good tracking system on that. So these are just some of the numbers that they know of. And this is an example of something we found, and it's a system that was installed, and there are various reasons this will happen where the wires end up on the roof. And these wires are coated in a nice thin sheathing, and unfortunately it's not designed to be laying on the roof. And the problem is when that moves on the roof surface is so rough that it wears through that sheathing. And this is the type of thing that leads to arc faults and or fires. So we have a couple more slides here we'll show you. These are just some other wiring issues that we've discovered. System on the left here, you'll see that wire. That was on a very nice home down at the beach in Mission Beach. And that system, that's an example of a wire that's actually burned completely through. And it's a very dangerous situation. You have systems on the roof that are up to 600 volts, and you don't want a wire laying on a roof with that much energy running through it. And on the right there, you'll see one of the ways that an installer will shortcut and save money. What they're attempting to do here is keep the wires off the roof, and they have a couple of options. They can invest in proper clips or zip ties, or they can tie the wires into a knot and shorten the length of the wire. So in this instance, this installer had done that, and we have two issues in the picture. We have a wire that is laying on the roof surface, which needs to be addressed. And then this close-up here, you'll see what looks like a pretzel. And what the problem with that is wiring has a minimum radius that's required. And if you go less than that radius, what ends up happening is you end up straining two parts of the wire. You end up straining the wire itself and the sheathing. And you shorten the life of both, and you can reduce the energy flow. So you end up creating a potential fire hazard there. So, great question is how bad is it? Well, this year we have to date discovered 49% of the systems have had wiring issues. And as you see there, there's all different types of wiring issues. And so 49%, that's unacceptable, and it's unfortunate, but it is a serious concern, and that is a driver for getting these systems inspected. This is another type of issue we run into. These are called hotspots, and we have two different angles on this. One is the top of the cell on the left, and that is a cell that has had some soldering issues, most likely from the manufacturer, although sometimes the surface is damaged and water penetrates and that can develop a hotspot as well. The picture on the right would be the back side, or what's known as the back sheet, and that you can see the black charred mark there. So in both these instances, these panels need to be addressed. Okay, in this situation, you'll see the conduit on the left, and what you have there is a joint, and it's hard to see from this angle, but the pipe on the right, the joint has separated. There's a little darkness there. You can see a gap, and there's two issues with conduit. The one is the separation like that, and you end up with pressure on the wires there. And again, that sheathing is not that strong, so you can penetrate the sheathing and expose the wiring. The other issue is when installers are pulling wires through the pipe, every time they cut a pipe, there's a sharp edge, and they are supposed to address that, round it off, and smooth it out. And again, when they're trying to install as quick as possible, sometimes they miss some of those and they pull wires through and they end up stripping the sheathing off the wire, and then you end up with a potential for an arc fault. This is the result of an arc fault. You had the fire coming through, exiting the conduit and burning the roof surface there. Then on the right-hand side, that system, we actually just went out to clean that system. It was a home in Rancho Santa Fe, and in cleaning it, we discovered this cell, and using our thermal imaging, we were able to determine it was a bad cell, which was a hot spot. And so we let the homeowner know that it was a cell that needed to be addressed. They needed to replace the panel. And in a situation where you have a bad cell like that, what it's doing is it's reducing the production in that panel. And if it's a certain design system, it can reduce the power production in the entire string of cells. So if there were 14 panels in that string, all 14 panels would drop their production to the lowest producing panel, which in this case would be the panel with the bad cell. So again, you want to address that. And this is the largest discovery to date so far in our inspections. And it actually was the home that had that wire, that burnt wire down near the beach, and $17,721. And I think you would agree that the buyer would like to know about this before making the transaction, closing escrow. And so I'm sure you all can agree that the solar system should be inspected before the contingencies are removed, just to make sure everybody's protected. And at this point, we'll take any questions. We have one in the chat, so let us take a look at that. We'll respond to that.
Okay, so the question is, should this, and I guess it's an inspection only if the system is owned or leased as well? Well, definitely if it's owned, but leased as well for health and safety reasons. Because whether it's leased or owned, you can still have these condition issues that can, be a safety issue. Wires hanging on the roof. We know the leasing companies don't bother to do any inspections on these systems. They might have been out there 3, 4, 5 years or more, and still nobody's looking at those. We've actually looked at some that were even PPAs as well.
Yeah, and one of the points is whether it's owned or leased, as Adam was saying, it should be inspected. And in both cases, if it's a leased system, what that means is that there will be somebody supporting it, okay? When it's inspected and we make these discoveries, then the leasing company can have that system repaired or addressed. And so you want to catch that before escrow is closed and have the seller take care of that prior to taking the house.
And Sue Pruitt asking, she has solar, and how often should you get an inspection? Well, Bill, I'll let you take that one. That's, I mean, obviously, I think anytime there's a transaction going on, a new buyer should do it. But as a homeowner, what are the manufacturers telling us, Bill?
Yeah. So the manufacturer recommends, and this is the little known secret with solar. I mean, let's go back to the transaction with solar. So when they're out selling you solar, it's really an economic proposition, and your return on your investment is the selling point. And so what the solar industry has done is they have sold solar as maintenance free, and they do not discuss the potential maintenance costs because it reduces your return on your investment. So with that being said, the manufacturers in their manuals, they recommend that panels be cleaned annually. And as far as the inverters, they have maintenance recommendations that are annual as well. It just depends on which type of inverter you have. So annually, the system should be addressed. An inspection annually, you get your first inspection, everything looks clean. Then you're really just doing the cleaning and the maintenance on the equipment, and the inspection would be a very quick inspection that would look for anything that's happened in the last year. So
And if you're a homeowner and obviously if you're seeing anything going on, you're going to want to get something inspected as well. So
Right.
monitoring your system on a regular.
Yeah, and Sue, I see you've asked how much is the inspection. That's a great question. So it's $260. That's the base price, and that will include up to 25 panels and one central inverter. If that system has microinverters on it instead of a central inverter, then that's included as well. If it's beyond the 25 panels, it's $5 per additional panel. And if it's a very large system with a second inverter, then we charge $40 for that second inverter. Majority of the homes that we inspect fall into that $260 range.
Although we've done a system that had 7 inverters and 240 panels, I think it was. So
Yeah, 208 panels.
around here in some of these estates, there are some large ground mount systems, and those definitely need to be inspected. We've seen some good ones out there.
And so some other things that we want to share with you too. We understand that when we're dealing with this transaction, real estate transaction, the time is of the essence, and you need us to be responsive. So, we attempt to get out there within 48 hours, just depending on how busy we are. But we understand we'll be out there as quick as we can. And once we're out there for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And then we will get you a report back within 48 hours. Our goal is 24 hours, but it just depends on the research we have to do to, get to the bottom of some of the discoveries.
I see your system has a 20-year guarantee on annual energy generated. Oh, you want to take that?
Yeah, that's a great sales component when someone is selling solar. They give you a 20-year guarantee on the energy generation, which is fantastic. And what we've discovered is every contract that we've looked at that has an energy guarantee. Let me back up a bit. So there's 2 types of energy guarantees. There's a solar panel production guarantee. That's from the solar panel manufacturer, and they guarantee the panels to produce at a certain percentage after 25 years. Typically, that had been at 80% at year 25, and that comes from the panel manufacturer. Some of the installers then offer what they call a production guarantee, and that's usually about the amount of energy that's generated, and they give you a breakdown, and it scales down through the years, and they guarantee that production. And that's a very reassuring production guarantee. But what we've discovered is that written in the contract is a requirement that you clean the solar panels quarterly. to keep that guarantee active. So Sue, if you should check your contract, look under that section there and find out if your guarantee is still in force if you are not cleaning your panels on a regular basis. Most of the time we see a requirement for quarterly cleaning. So that's 4 times a year. That's a very excessive amount of cleaning. And it's a very interesting, caveat that they add into their contract. I personally don't agree with it as being essential. I think it more as a way to protect their guarantee. So look into that. And Sue, if you have any questions, after looking at that, you can give us a call. We'd be happy to help you with that. So okay, I don't see any other questions here. So let me throw a couple of other concepts at you here. One is what if we discover something, and then what are we going to do about that? What we can do is we have third-party vendors that we've vetted. We have modeled ourselves after the home inspection industry in that we don't do repairs. We are avoiding that conflict of interest. So we do have vendors that we've vetted, and if we have discoveries and there isn't anybody supporting the product, the installer's out of business or it's out of warranty by the age of the system, then we can refer you to vendors. Part of our vetting the vendors was that we had to work with people and find people who would be willing to respond quickly. A lot of solar installers look at this, a repair as something gets put on the back burner for a couple of weeks or even a month, depending how busy they are. And we've worked to find some companies that will respond to this stuff quickly. So if we find something, we'll refer you to a vendor who can get you a quote. And they also can do the repairs.
I'm contacting.
And then lastly, with the current state of affairs with COVID-19, we take all the precautions. We provide the P document signed at each job. 90% of our work is outside. In some instances, it's 100% of the work. But we mask up, we glove, we keep 6 feet away, and if we enter a house, we do booties, and we ask that the homeowner be out of the house while we're there due to the COVID-19. And so we provide the P document, and so we're addressing the COVID-19 as well.
Sue, I think it's a question. I think you're asking, is there any home inspection that includes solar installation? So none of the home inspectors that we know cover solar systems in their inspections. What they might cover and what we don't cover is footings, roof penetrations, and that. So our inspection is looking at the health and function of the system. So it's from the racking up. And so, yeah, that's where I guess the home inspection starts and ours and ends, and that's where ours starts, is with the panels and that.
Yeah, it's a great question. So home inspectors, it's not in their scope of work. They don't have the knowledge to inspect the solar. So the agencies that exist that oversee the home inspectors, all these groups that they join, there is no training for them, or so they do not inspect the solar, and that's where we come in, and we don't inspect the home, we just inspect the solar. So it's a separate thing completely.
We have a list of questions here from some other presentations that we've done. Let's see. Oh, how soon can we are we typically we're available within 48 hours to get to an inspection. The inspection takes anywhere from 1 to 2 hours. And we usually get a report out within 24 to 48 hours. That's something like, again, that goes back to we understand that time is of the essence, and we need to get this done before your contingency period runs out, so you can get your request for repairs in if we do find issues. And some of the things we find are helpful for a buyer to know. So our inspection goes just beyond looking at the condition. There's also a lot of things that we find out about the system. I think Bill mentioned about warranties, all that kind of thing that we investigate, and some of the other fees that might be associated with warranty transfers and things like that. So it's a really complete report, typically an 18 to 20 page range.
And one of the issues is that since we're sort of creating this niche, we're taking this pretty seriously. We want to make sure we produce a really good report, and we are trying to establish a very high level inspection product. And so in doing so, what we offer agents is a money back guarantee. When we present you a report, if you do not feel it has the value, then we no charge money back. And we do that because we believe in the quality of the product that we're producing. And I think that when you order your first inspection and you see it, you'll agree it has value. And we've got some tremendous feedback from agents and our customers as well, including electrical engineers, mechanical engineers, and that's always reassuring when you get feedback from those guys when you're looking at a system like this. So we know you'll be happy with this product when you need to hire us.
Let's see, do we have some other questions? Oh, okay. Yeah, this webinar, it's being recorded, and it will be available on nsdcartv.com by Friday, so you can catch our smiling faces again in reruns. And do we have any other typical questions that we get there, Bill? Let's see.
Yeah, I think we went through them all, but if at some point, in the near future or any point you have a question, you feel free to give us a call, send us an email, and we'd be happy to respond. And in addition to the solar inspections, we do consulting as well. So if you have somebody who purchased a house recently and one of your clients, and they're thinking about doing solar and they come to you, we're happy to talk with them about solar and kind of steer them in the right direction to make sure they work with good companies or make sure they get a system that makes sense for them. I think that's about it.
Yeah, does anybody else have any other questions? All right. Well, thanks for letting us join in today. And Jennifer? I think Jennifer, she left us.
Thank you so much for the webinar, and we will have it recorded. So if they have any questions regarding any information, your contact information is included in the webinar, so they can always get it right there. Thank you so much.
Thanks a lot.
All right. You guys all have a good day.
Thank you.